Welcome back to section 7.2. This is our last part of this section where we look at linear models. So the example problem I have for us right now says that a rental car costs $50 plus 20 cents per mile. Let X represent the number of miles driven and Y represent the total charge to the renter. So using that, my total charge, which would be our Y, would equal $50 plus 20 cents, so that's $0.20 per mile. So we'll do that times the number of miles that is driven, so times X. So that would represent our situation, and then we can answer some questions. So part A says, how much does the rental cost if you drive 1,000 miles? So what it's asking for is the rental cost, which is our Y value, so we don't know Y. And if you drive 1,000 miles, that tells us what our X value is, since X was the number of miles driven. Okay, so X was 1,000 miles. So it's always nice to take a word problem and figure out what you have and how it represents to variables first. And now I'm going to use my equation to solve for my cost. So my Y value equals 50 plus 0.20 times 1,000. So 20 cents times 1,000 would be 200. And 200 plus 50 would equal $250, which would be the answer to our question. It would cost the renter $250 to rent that car and drive 1,000 miles. In part B, it says, how many miles was the car driven if the renter paid $84.60? So it's wondering how many miles was the car driven. So the miles was X, so we're solving for X this time. And it tells us that the renter paid $84.60, so that would be the total charge to the renter. So we have Y equals $84.60. And I'm going to use my same equation, but this time I have Y, which is $84.60. $84.60 equals, then the rest of my equation, I will have 50 plus 0.20 times X. And I just want to solve for X so I can figure out how many miles was driven. So if I want to solve for the miles, what I would do first is probably subtract 50 from both sides. So then $84.60 minus 50 would be $34.60, and that would equal 0.20 times X, so that's 20 cents times X. And then the last thing to do to solve for X would just be to divide by that 20 cents, that 0.20 on both sides. And if you do 34.60 divided by 0.2, you'll get 173 equals X, so that means that they drove 173 miles. Okay. All right. Now you all get to try one and show me how much you've learned.